All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Miss Petagaye Ferguson. I don't know if she married it. She's super young, so I don't think she married it. So I'm gonna go with Miss Petagaye Ferguson. What's up, Mickey? So Miss Petagaye Ferguson touched on this topic right here about a British MP statements regarding reparations. I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with her statements, but um, let's get into what Peter Gay has to say on the topic. You know what I mean? Let's get into it.
Okay, so we are back. We are back. And in this segment, we're going to talk about something that's very touchy. Right. So now, in this week's, what I call this now? Like, is it like the issue of the week? Yeah, I'd say it is. Now, latest development over on that side of the world. Right. We see where another conversation about reparations has emerged, right? And this time around, we have the former British Home Secretary and MP Suella Braverman arguing that Britain owes nothing to its former colonies. And she even suggested that the empire brought benefits through investments and development to the place them where them go extract the people in wealth. Me don't know where to do that math there. She has to be a gaslighter. She has to have the greatest levels of audacity that I've ever seen in my lifetime. Because ain't no way you could really come out in the public and say something like this.
Embarrassing. He needs some milk.
Hey man, listen, straight off the bat, man, Peter Gay came out swinging. You know what I'm saying?
And that statement has really generated outrage, not just across the Caribbean, but for other countries who have experienced this. I'm sure Africa and all those other spaces, people cannot feel comfortable with this statement. And so, for a moment, while I know it's very it's such a touchy topic. We're gonna separate emotions a little bit, right? And look at the facts, what it says. Now, we know that no serious reparations movement argues that nothing was built during colonialism. Nobody's debating what was built and what wasn't built. What right? What we're simply asking, the question being asked now is very different. We're talking about who paid for it. And what we know is that much of Britain's wealth during the colonial era was built through enslaved labor, extraction of resources, and the systems that denied millions of people their freedom and humanity. And so being asked now is very different. We're talking about who paid for it. And what we know is that much of Britain's wealth during the colonial era was built through enslaved labor, extraction of resources, and the systems that denied millions of people their freedom and humanity. And so let us not forget that. And what we also know is that supporters of reparatory justice argue that the profits generated helped finance Britain's industrial development while leaving lasting social and economic consequences in many former colonies. We are still seeing some of the legacies of slavery that has been left behind, and we cannot deny its impact in the Caribbean, in Africa, and in many other spaces. We cannot deny it, right? And so those opposed often argue that today's taxpayers should not bear responsibility for historical wrongs and that modern Britain should not be held financially liable for actions taken centuries ago. That's always some of them must say, right? But whether you support reparations or not, this debate is not going to go away because it's there. It's in our faces. We can see it. History is there. You can't rewrite history. We know what happened, and so Jamaica is one of the countries, where we continue to pursue reparatory justice through CARICOM. And it also raises important questions about history, responsibility, and what justice looks like today, right? So we're asking, I don't even, an apology is really not it. It's not going anywhere because what is true? Taxpayers, right? It is taxpayers who had to pay back right? Those former enslavers to say that, oh, because they had stopped benefiting from slavery, they owe them. And so they had to pay them to end slavery. And that's from like what, 1834, they're about coming up to 2015. Guys, that was just the other day. A little over.
I mean, it tells you what the mindset of people were at the time. So these people that were pretty much scumbags, all of them that were enslaving people were scumbags, freeloaders, germs, the scum of the earth. Every last one of you. And if you're benefiting from that, you are sane. If your family is benefiting from that right now, and you are okay with it, you feel fine that your family grew their wealth with blood money and just the sacrifice of other people's lives and their dignity, and you walk proudly, you are a scumbag. You're an incredibly evil human being. You have no conscience. Alright? You are a perfect servant of the devil, and I hold no apology. Anybody that does that, whether you're black, you're white, anybody that thinks that type of way, that's how I feel about it. You want to justify all those acts of those people at that time, you support it in any way, that's how I feel about it. Alright? Now, this lady can feel however she wants to feel. As far as I'm concerned, she's exposing herself as one of those people I just described. She is a direct descendant of the thought process. Clearly. Because Britain owes a debt that it simply cannot pay, if we're being honest with you. If you were to numerically look at the lives that were lost because of that, what Britain did, they owe these people of these descendants, wherever they are in the world scattered, they owe them. No Jamaican should be paying for a visa to go to Britain. No African should be paying for a visa to go to Britain. Britain should have an open access. Whatever they built, we own. Whatever they are standing on right now, we own. It's not about we going there to take it with force. No, share the spoils. Let us have the opportunity to go to schools there. Show some humanity. You cannot do people wrong. Your ancestors cannot do people wrong, and you're benefiting off the backs of their blood money. And then you want to come and tell us, oh, we don't owe you anything. Man, listen. Boy, I don't know what you think this is. I don't know what you think this is, lady. All the blood that was spilled. Yo, man, we black people are too nice, bro. I'm telling y'all right now, we are too nice. Because if it was anybody else, do you see what the Chinese is doing? The Chinese is actively putting themselves in a position where you cannot F with them. They did not forget what happened to them. The bombs that were dropped, you think they forget? And they are everywhere like the ants now. They moved with a level of purpose. They have commanded respect from those who used to put them down like that. Because they have rose to a national level. Their entire nation united was focused on one thing. And is still focused on one thing. If only our black people in just Jamaica alone, not even the entire Africa. If the entire Africa was to unite in a way, I'm telling you, it would be ridiculous. Everybody would have to bow and respect that entire nation. Do you know how much nations feed off of Africa? If Africa was to unite and say we're locking off the resources and keeping them within like Wakanda forever, Everybody goes cook. And they know it. You see what happened to France and Burkina Faso said, no, no, no. No more freeloading. But people still support France. Mbappe on the ball and he might get that's our next topic. Mbappe on the ball and in black and he might get all sort of racist comments from people in high places. I don't know depend on Argentina, but I'm not talk about that right now. But it really intertwined. What's up, Raquel? It really intertwined with this argument about racism. Like we can really talk about it. We can really talk about it. Don't think that we forgot. Don't think that we forgot that our ancestors stood up with so much pride that they refused to be slaves and jumped off the boat in the middle of the ocean. Don't think we forgot. And don't think we don't understand that our people know that gene, that spirit is dormant in us, almost dead. And that's why Angeles can come be like one new fear and enslaver and don't get real pushback. Because we've been conditioned. And then you have the spiritual side of it, where people are locked down through high science and just dormant. Yeah, I don't really talk about these things, but I can't really talk about it, In Congo right now, they're still suffering. There's places in Africa. I mean, man, listen, bro. Boy, you know what I'm saying? We can really talk about it, bro. But I'ma chill. Let's hear Peter.
A decade ago, right? A year, just the other day, they stopped paying those enslavers reparations, are paying them for ending slavery and them losing benefits. Now, if you know anything about history and what slavery is, chattel slavery, the slavery that we experience in the Caribbean, that our forefathers and those who have gone before us, those Africans, what we experience here is the worst form of slavery. Literally, people were being treated as those people's properties. You weren't seen as a human being. Your life meant nothing. All you were there to do was to work, till the soil, and they extracted all that they could from the Caribbean, all that they could from other spaces, and they took it back to their country. And what do we have today? What do we have left today? And so, yeah, you have to ask the question, what is it that you've left us with in today's day and age? Why do you think
Do y'all know how much money? Do you know how much wealth Britain stole from Africa, yo? That they still have now? Artifacts, minerals, gold. Their entire empire and kingdom is of African wealth and riches. Period. Or a large majority of it. Of course. That's why I try to stop, because it pisses me off. You know what I mean? This lady out here talking about it's one thing for them to be quiet and not. And I want to thank her for being an asshole. Yeah, because it shows us that the rest of them, as there's a lot of them still there. I want to thank her for being an asshole. Yes. What's your name? British MP rejects. I don't know what her name is. I want to thank her. Great. Thank you for showing up that there is still a lot of you here in high places. And when I say to the Jamaican people, Andrew Holness swore allegiance to the king, and he's a Privy Council member. You guys think that he is not serving their interests as a prime minister here in Jamaica? If the MP over there can think like this, what do you think the hierarchy is thinking? They don't want to let go of Jamaica. That is why the constitutional reform, they don't want to let go of the Privy Council. They don't want to cut ties completely with the British monarch. I have been saying this since I came on YouTube, and I know a lot of you don't listen to these arguments that I make because I realize you don't comment about it in the comment section. Andrew Honest went, nobody never asked him to do it, him go swear allegiance to the king. If he got turned privy council member, ladies and gentlemen. Have you guys read the pledge? Andrew Honest can't hide nothing from the king, you know. Only need to go read the pledge. And then that's why it hurt me so much when people was talking about Mark Golding have 1 foot in and one foot out. Andrew Honest is the definition of having 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Andrew Honest is serving two masters that we know about. The king and Jamaica. Well, himself, because him not serve Jamaica. And then him in a bed with China. And him in a bed with the... Yo, man, listen. Y'all better wake up, man. Y'all better...
Owe you nothing. And Prime Minister Mia Motley addressed it. And I love the way she said it. And we'll have a big up shout out to Prime Minister Mia Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados. Right? And Barbados is one of those countries where coming out of slavery, they had a more structured approach because the planter class, those enslaved people, they actually stayed there and built structures, right? They say that, but in Jamaica, for Jamaica and Haiti, it's more of an extraction type of thing that happened. So they just came here, took what they could, and they built nothing meaningful, nothing that we could look at and say, okay, here's something that you can continue with. Also, when slavery was ending, Black people did not get anything. Slaves did not have anything. So when lands were given away, when people were benefiting, the former slave people had nothing to gain. So when you talk about being in the race of life and you look at it like a 100-meter race and you say, okay, we're starting here. Literally, the planter class, the people who came here from Britain and other spaces to extract our wealth and to use our people, right? They literally left with everything that they could get and left nothing here. Nothing.
And you know, these are the same people that say, oh, as Black people, yeah, you know, if you complain and rage. And Andrew Honest have that same mentality because I listen to him, you know. You remember when Mark Golding was in the parliament talking about the fact that we do not contribute to this global warming thing. And the way how the deal is structured for us to get aid or money and then we have to pay back. And man, I said, bro, these basically what I understood from what Mark Golding is saying, these people should be paying us and them cause the earth to have this global warming effect and we are facing the brunt of it. So they owe us pretty much. And Andrew Honest's stance is like, you cannot challenge these people. Who do you think you are? We cannot do that. You guys remember when he said that in the parliament and was answering Mark Golding? I'm sorry, I can't find the clip right away to play it. But I remember that moment and I said, wow, look at the so-called white man, Mark Golding, defending this country against the monarch and all those other entities that contribute to global warming and saying if they are the ones that are the largest contributors, they are the ones that are supposed to pay when these monster storms come and damage other people's economy. And Andrew Honest defended those comebacks while Mark Golding was standing up for the people of Jamaica. That is the difference between the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party.
Sustainable, nothing stable. Black people had to start right at the starting line while others were benefiting. You have money, you have house, you have land, you have so many things, you have access to so many things. It was not like that for slave people. And that is a conversation as well that we might need to have for another time to discuss it at length because we're still seeing the remnants, right? And some of the effects, and we need to talk about how it affects us in different ways. But really, MP Braverman, I'm not sure what you were drinking on that day, which side of the bed you wake up on, why you thought that was something good enough to say. And I don't know your ethnic background, but one might have to ask, what's your ethnic background? Because maybe if you check your background, you would see that some of your people would have suffered from the hands of these people. And that might not be the best thing to say, you know? I see Maria said the planter class was known as.
So I want to play the response from Mia Motley. I found it, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to this.
Thank you very much for the question. I'm not sure that you want me to reply to things that really are asinine. And certainly the notion that we should pay the United Kingdom for oppressing us, for enslaving us, and for treating us as chattel. And that is the difference. Slavery existed before, but this was the first time that human beings were defined as chattel. And I've been very clear all along that the 1661 Slave Code of Barbados, which predated the Code Noir, which the French have just repealed less than 2 months ago, all distinguished themselves, and all of the slave laws that followed the 1661 Slave Code of Barbados, by the treatment of human beings as chattel. We're not asking for charity. We're asking to be able to ensure that justice can be done. In 1834, the British Parliament did not need to be persuaded of that fact with respect to the loss of property because we were chattel and the compensation of the slave owners of £20 million. I would like to advise that those who have not yet read sufficient to understand the history do so before making comments that really do not reflect well on them. With respect to the movement, this is a global movement now. We just came from Accra in Ghana, and as you know, the United Nations passed a resolution that Ghana brought in March of this year. We have seen Pope Leo make comments in this year of our Lord. We have seen President Macron recognize that the conversation for reparations, just as His Majesty King Charles, when he was Prince Charles at the opening of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda, stated clearly that reparations was a conversation whose time had come. I have no doubt that there are British parliamentarians who want to distract people from the domestic politics of the United Kingdom at this point in time. But the Caribbean should not be used as a prop in those circumstances. Thank you.
Man, listen. I don't know about y'all, man, but when I hear this lady talk, I'm ready to put my boots on and go to war for her. Man, listen. I couldn't have said it any better. These people this lady got to be ignorant. All right? These people got to be ignorant. Terence said that is the resolution that Argentina. Oh my God, here comes Terence. Lord of mercy. Anyway, moving right along, ladies and gentlemen. Moving right along. Man, shout out to me and Motley, man. Shout out to me and Motley. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section.